Sweet the whispers in your ear whenever Ember wanders near.
I realized, chat, thank you, Rova. It is time. I couldn't get to this last night, so we're going to get tonight. We are going to talk about air conditioning with Nick. He is going to learn us. He's going to leer us about air conditioning tonight and probably dunk on Europeans and laugh about it. Let's fucking go.
I'm just going to come out and say it. The Europeans are apparently making window cheese, and you're going to have to stick around if you want to know what that means. Today we're talking about the most important invention.
He's talking about mold, isn't he? Moldy cheese. He's 100%. He's talking about dampness, mold, cheese. I'm calling it.
Today we're talking about the most important invention of the 20th century, air conditioning. Okay, I know what you're thinking. That's a pretty big claim. We came up with a lot of important stuff in the 20th century. That is true. However, air conditioning is the most important one. I'm going to prove it, and then I'm going to relentlessly talk smack about Europeans the entire time, right after word from our sponsor.
Fantastic.
This video is brought to you by Supremacy World War III. It is a free-to-play online
Japan.
PvP military-based strategy game. The entire thing's based on a World War III type scenario where you get to pick your country and go to war with the rest of the world. You can forge alliances, or you can just go solo and try to take over the whole thing yourself. They've just introduced a new shadow market, which is basically the black market where you can do a bunch of sketchy, illegal stuff under the table that's going to upset people if they find out. And I'm not exaggerating when I say it's going to upset people. That's literally a function of the game. If you get caught, it can actually cause insurgencies, civil unrest, or damage the morale of your country.
In other words, MacPSog in the game.
They should probably update it so it increases the morale of the American military if they get caught, because their unofficial motto is, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. I mean, it's never a war crime the first time. So if you want to give it a try, you can play with up to 99 other people, and it's available on both PC and mobile, and it's free. So if you want to check it out, I'm going to have a link and a discount code down below. Let's get back to the video. All right, why are we even talking about air conditioning right now, okay? If you're not chronically on the internet like myself, A, good for you, but B, let me fill you in real quick. Every June or July, there's a magical time of year where the British experience a heat wave. There's newspaper articles, there's British and European people getting on the internet talking shit about how the Americans just don't understand a British heat wave. We could...
Really? Ask someone in the southern US if they don't understand the heat wave. Okay, I've already pointed this out. Like, fucking Toronto in Canada gets as hot as Brits when they have their quote-unquote heat wave. Yeah, like, the British heat waves to the rest of the fucking planet is like, that's a heat wave? It's a sunny day. Now, granted, it's Britain, so... typically speaking, they're used to colder, damp, unpleasant clients, so maybe they just can't react to it very well.
Couldn't possibly survive, yada, yada, yada. So then I get on there, I'm competitive, they're talking smack. It's like, okay, I mean, how hot is it over there? Never been there. Maybe it is super hot. I have no idea. So then you look into it, and all the headlines are like, the British heat wave has reached over 30 degrees Celsius for the 5th day in a row.
Yeah, all you have to do to convert is ×2, add 32, and join the rest of the human race.
Okay, my country's flag is on the moon. I have no idea what 30 degrees Celsius is, so then you got to get on Google again. You got to ask it what 30 degrees Celsius is, converted into Fahrenheit, the superior way of measuring temperature. It's like 86 degrees, and these people are acting like they're melting. Buh! Actually...
Yeah, like, legit, I will tell you something. I've had hotter days in fucking Newfoundland than that. Not many, but I've legit had hotter, the temperature has literally been hotter in Newfoundland than that a couple times. And Newfoundland is not known for heat.
Buh! Actually, Celsius is better because it's a metric system. You know, that measurement system the entire world uses except for you guys. It's obviously the best. Buh! No, it isn't. It doesn't even make sense. Okay, Fahrenheit is the easiest concept on the planet. 0 is cold, 100 is hot. Based on the human experience, The end. Celsius, on the other hand, is based on the freezing and boiling point of water, which doesn't even make sense because the freezing and boiling point of water isn't a constant. It depends on like 20 other variables, including altitude. Okay, when somebody asks you, how hot is it outside? Nobody's asking you, how does a glass of water at sea level feel about the temperature outside? No, I'm asking you, are my balls gonna be sweaty if I go outside? Do I need to wear shorts? Do I need to bring baby powder? Is monkey butt a potential hazard? These are the questions I wanna know. I don't give a fuck how water feels about it.
Oh gosh, it's just too much.
I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted. Anyways, this happens every year. The Europeans get on the internet, they complain about a heat wave, 86 degrees, they pretend like they're melting, they say the Americans don't understand, we couldn't possibly survive a British heat wave, yada yada yada. Well, this year, something amazing happened. The FIFA World Cup is in America, so a bunch of Europeans came to America and they got to experience American heat, and it became overwhelmingly obvious to them they are, in fact, just being giant pansy asses about the entire situation. At which point, the Europeans realized that they were wrong, they admitted
that, and they discovered a love for American cuisine and the gloriousness of Buc-ee's and Outback Steakhouse. The Europeans discovered Shangri-La when they came for the World Cup, okay?
defeat, and we all moved on. I'm just
and
kidding.
the ranch dressing. Can't forget that.
They moved the goalposts, and then the entire conversation became about air conditioning. Okay, I had no idea because I'm an American, and to be honest with you, I don't give a fuck about European politics, but apparently the British and the French are like morally and mentally just adamantly opposed to air conditioning to the point that it is literally a humongous political debate over there right now.
Yep.
And the right wing and the left wing over in France is literally divided on air conditioning.
Which tells you how incredibly stupid their politics are. If you're going to say that air conditioning is a political issue, you're a fucking moron. I'm saying it. The minute your government is politicizing air conditioning, you fucking lost the plot. You're done. You have now reached troglodyte levels at this point.
Air conditioning. Air conditioning in France is right-wing technology. I'm not exaggerating. And me, with how my brain works, now I have to know the history of air conditioning.
Oh, and I should point out, by the way, well, they profess it to be right-wing technology, yet those claiming that it is right-wing technology will make abundant use of the air conditioning on their upper floors, while the lower floors are left to swelter with no air conditioning. Just as a reminder, that is a thing. That it was, I can't remember if this was France or if this was in Great Britain. Yeah, it might have been France, I can't recall. There was like a 7 or 10 story building. I think it might have been government, can't remember exactly. And basically they said no air conditioning because reasons. But the bosses on the upper floors, the bosses used air conditioning. All of the plebs on the lower floors, no air conditioning for you. So they say that air conditioning is right wing, yet they don't even hesitate to use it themselves while making their underlings suffer heat stroke.
Technology. I'm not exaggerating. And me, with how my brain
You
works, now I have to know the history of air conditioning. So, from the top. The first modern air conditioner was invented in 1902 by an engineer by the name of Willis Carrier, and Willis Carrier was hired by a publishing company to come in and solve a problem. The problem this publishing company had was that when they were trying to print things in summer, the heat and humidity was causing fluctuations in the paper and the printing process, giving them an inconsistent product that they weren't happy with. So he gets hired to come in and figure out a way to make their product more consistent while they're printing in summer. And his first option is, obviously, I'm just going to change the environment. I'm going to make it a constant. I'm going to get rid of the heat and the humidity so it's no longer a factor. Then we can tune the machines once and we can print away because it's always going to be the same temp and the same humidity in the factory. Okay, pause. I need you to understand, as a person in 2026 that's grown up with like modern technology, this sounds obvious, like duh, just do that. But at the time in 1902, homeboy literally came out of left field and is like, clearly, I just have to change the rules of physics. I have to change the entire world around me so this works. I'm literally gonna attempt to domesticate the fucking wind so I can print books. Okay, do you understand how insane that is?
What? Okay, I might have taken a different tack with his phrasing there. Not just I'm going to domesticate wind, I'm going to domesticate the fucking air. I think that might have had a little bit more punch saying that.
Would be if like the Wright brothers, when they were trying to design an airplane, were like, fucking we'll just turn off gravity, duh.
It's science.
But somehow this guy manages to do it, fixes the printing problem, sees the potential, patents the idea, patents the phrase air conditioning, and then he goes and creates the Carrier Air Conditioning Company, which is still around today, has like over 50,000 employees, and is worth over $20 billion.
Damn.
So air conditioning is like primarily used in these factory type settings. In 1914, there are some people starting to get air conditioners in their homes, but it's extremely rare. By the early 1930s, they are starting to have like commercial air conditioning units that you can put in a home, but they cost like $10,000, which in 1932, convert that to today's money, it's almost like $250,000 for a window air conditioning unit. But people were willing to pay it because if you got the money, not having ball sweat is priceless.
No.
Oddly enough, you can make the argument that air conditioning is actually responsible for movies, TV, and Hollywood as a whole. Because outside of manufacturing, one of the first industries to adopt air conditioning is movie theaters, which makes so much sense because I cannot tell you how many times I've been shown like, oh, this is a silent film from 19 whatever the fuck, and oh, it was so funny at the time, blah, 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 blah. Nobody was going to movie theaters in the 1920s, the 1930s, the 1940s because they enjoyed watching silent films. They were going because that was the only place they could go to get air conditioning and get out of the heat for 2 hours. You can actually go back and read accounts from people at the time where they're like, yeah, no, we don't go to the movie theater because we give a shit about the movie. We just go so we can go there to cool off. So in a way, it's pretty likely, or at least you could argue that if it wasn't for air conditioning, the film industry as we know it today might not exist. Regardless, movie theaters were a lot of people's first encounter with air conditioning, and once they saw it, they're like, holy shit, this is awesome. I want to get.
To be frank, the Three Stooges is still funny. That was not the Three Stooges. That was the Three Amigos. You're not talking about what we just... Hang on. You're not talking about this, are you? That's not the Three Stooges. That's the Three Amigos. It's Chevy Chase, Martin Short, and Steve Martin. Oh, you were joking. You know better than to joke with me. You know jokes like fly the fuck over my head.
From people at the time where they're like, yeah, no, we don't go to the movie theater because we give a shit about the movie. We just go so we can go there to cool off. So in a way, it's pretty likely, or at least you could argue that if it wasn't for air conditioning, the film industry as we know it today might not exist. Regardless, movie theaters were a lot of people's first encounter with air conditioning, and once they saw it, they're like...
The other one that changed after Curly left was Shemp. It's Moe, Larry, Curly, and Shemp.
Like, holy shit, this is awesome. I want to get it inside my house. But from here, the cost of air conditioners actually plummets because it's something that everybody can use and everybody wants. It's just like TVs. When I was a kid growing up, a flat screen TV was like $12,000. It was some absurd amount of money. And today I can go to Walmart and buy a 70-inch flat screen TV that's better than those TVs when I was growing up for like $400. So air conditioning got incredibly cheap, incredibly fast when you compare it to pretty much anything else. And
Hold on. Sorry, I have to address this. The Three Stooges live action movie was decent. As opposed to the animated Three Stooges film. Gamer. All Three Stooges productions were live action. The only time that they had an animated version was when they were on Scooby-Doo. Otherwise, they were always live action. I know he's referring to the 2012 movie. I know, but it's like, the Three Stooges have always been live action. To the comments down below saying, actually...
By the 1950s, they were starting to have literal experiments that they would call air-conditioned villages. Basically, they were new housing developments where all these new homes had air conditioning in them, and they actually had psychologists and scientists go in, and the families that bought these homes volunteered to be studied for over a year to see the impacts of living in an air-conditioned climate in your home and how it would affect you. People had no idea what would happen. Would they go crazy? Would they not be able to handle going outside anymore? These were all huge unknowns at the time. And you want to know what the psychologists and the scientists concluded about living in air conditioning?
People are happier.
It's pretty fucking awesome, okay? They found out that everybody slept better, and they also found out that the housewives were reporting back to the psychologists that their husbands, and I quote, had a better disposition, aka...
They were getting fucked more often. the the wives were being serviced frequently.
Hey, their husbands weren't as fucking grumpy all the time. You can literally go back and read the articles. We'll read one right now. Headline, air conditioning helps with disposition. Women living in air-conditioned homes in Austin, Texas, the air-conditioned village, startled a team of psychologists and researchers by asserting their husbands' dispositions had somehow miraculously improved under the influence of air conditioning. Okay, when you're not hot, you're not grumpy. Fucking shocking, I know. Oddly enough, statistical data collected by these researchers indicated that indoor conditions within these homes could be conducive to support this opinion of these air-conditioned housewives. Reading newspapers from...
I'm sorry, that fucking phrasing. The air-conditioned housewives. So, air-conditioned housewives, so they routinely went around without panties on? I mean, that's good air conditioning, I have to say. The fucking phrasing. Yeah, I can't with the fucking phrasing. Air-conditioned housewives, as opposed to properly baked and roasted housewives. I can't. I miss those days. Fucking the 30s, 40s, and 50s. They just did not give a fuck, and I love it. I love how they just did not give a fuck back then. Just called them air-conditioned housewives.
The 50s is crazy because it's just like, well, the housewives are saying their husbands are in the better mood, but them bitches are crazy. We can't trust them. We need empirical data to prove their opinion might be correct.
Beautiful. I know.
But even more strongly indicated is the likely possibility that the women themselves, as a result of enjoying the comforts of air conditioning, were able to look upon their spouses with a little more than usual benevolence. Okay, translation, mom and dad are both in a better mood because nobody's sweating their ass off all day.
Yeah.
Obviously. Okay, just so we're all on the same page, if you're not picking up on a put down so far, air conditioning might be responsible for the entire film industry, TV as we know it today. It helps keep families together, and that's just scratching the surface on why it's the most important invention of the 20th century. Just to prove my point, let's have a thought exercise. I asked Google, completely blind. I had some guesses because I know a little bit about history, but I just went in blind and asked Google, what are the most important inventions of the 20th century? Let's see what they came up with. So coming in at number 1, we have the transistor, obviously extremely important, but the mass manufacturing of transistors isn't possible without air conditioning because in order to manufacture a transistor, you need purified air, humidity control, and temperature control, all of which are provided by air conditioning. So no air conditioning, no mass manufacturing of transistors. One more point.
Wait, food for thought. If air conditioning makes people happier, then why are we having fewer children, less sex in modern day than before air conditioning? Counterpoint. It's not that they're having less. Counterpoint. It's not that people are having less sex. It's that pregnancy contraception has greatly increased since those days. Like, think of the multitudes of contraceptives that are now available to people. You have condoms, you have the birth control pill, you have Depo-Vera, you have the Plan B morning after pill, you have people using abortions as contraceptions, which is horrific in and of itself. So it's not that people are having less sex in the modern day, it's that there are a multitude of ways to prevent or reverse conception versus what was available back in the 1950s.
Conditioning. So no air conditioning, no mass manufacturing of transistors. One more point. Coming in at number 2, the internet, okay? Internet also can't exist without AC because the internet is run off of a bunch of server farms, which also need to be in a climate-controlled environment. You ever been inside of a server room? Pretty cold, pretty purified air. Can't have it without air conditioning. Coming
Which is really funny because this is kind of a fuck up in the story, not next story, but another one. You guys remember Ocean's 11? How many of you guys remember Ocean's 11? Dude? Do you remember the scene where Lewis, I believe his name is, their computer guy, goes in and taps into the system to gain control over the cameras? You know? It sets up that remote thing. That was a server farm. That was a small self-contained server farm or a server ring for the hotel. That room should have been quite cold. Yet a tiny little plot point for that moment is that he was sweating. He was sweating bullets, and because he was sweating bullets, when he wiped his hand across his brow to get rid of the sweat, it ruined the map that he had drawn on his hand and created that like half second of tension when a security guard caught him. So little inconsistency there in the movie is he was actually in a server. That room should have been cold, but he was sweating, and it wasn't simply just from nervousness. Just thought I'd bring that up.
And at number 3, penicillin. Obviously, incredibly important. The world's first antibiotic saved
You need air
tens, if not
conditioning
hundreds
to
of
store.
millions of lives since it was invented. And you know what? Would it exist without air conditioning? Almost certainly. However, would you be able to mass manufacture it to the
There it
degree
is.
that we do today as safely as we do without air conditioning? Absolutely not. Number 4, mass production of automobiles. Could that exist without air conditioning? Yes, it could. However, if you look at where most cars are manufactured, Texas, Tennessee, Alabama, Mexico, none of those places would be able to crank out cars to the degree that they do without air conditioning because you would have
Right.
workers dropping out from heat stroke. In fact, most of the major cities in
Livingston,
America
thank
that
you,
are in a
Bioform.
hotter climate, like, I don't know, Las Vegas, Phoenix, Dallas, Houston, Orlando, Atlanta, all of which would probably exist to some degree if it wasn't for air conditioning, but air conditioning allowed them to grow into major metropolitan areas.
Yeah.
It's literally a saying, air conditioning made Phoenix possible. And last but not least, the airplane. Now, would the Wright brothers have strapped some wings to a bicycle, drove it off a cliff, and figured out how to fly? Absolutely. Is commercial flight without air conditioning as we know it today possible? Absolutely not. The inside of that cabin on that plane would be 400 degrees if it wasn't for air conditioning. So
Yeah.
yes, air conditioning is the most important invention of the 20th century. Which raises a question, why the fuck don't the Europeans just use it?
Right. What did he say?
Said how's his edge, huh? He only took him down because he couldn't see the view no more. What's he going to do?
And the answers to that question might be the most infuriating answers to a question I've ever gotten in my entire life. Answer number 1. Europeans don't need air conditioning because the climate isn't as hot as America. Now, setting aside the fact that that proves the initial point that America is hotter and we could survive a British heat wave, we'll just set that off to the side real quick.
Yeah,
the Europeans
please.
say shit like, well, we wouldn't run them that often and we would only need them for like 1 month a year. Cool. Do you know how
And?
much shit I own that I don't need very often? I've had a spare tire in every car I've ever owned my entire life. I've never had to use it. I've still fucking got it just in case. If there
I mean, for fuck's sake, I use my air conditioner maybe 2 or 3 months out of the year. Like the air conditioning unit that I have right now that is currently running, I use for maybe 3 months out of the year. The rest of it is unplugged and put into a corner.
was something that I only needed to use 30 days a year to make sure my balls weren't hot while I was trying to sleep, you best believe I'm gonna fucking own it. Oh, well, Europeans are tougher than you Americans. We'll just grit our teeth and bear it. Are you? Are you really? Because last I checked, 175,000 fucking people died from heat stroke because you're too fucking stupid to buy an air conditioner. Do you understand how insane?
But by the way, I don't know if Nick is about to say exactly what I'm about to say. Heat stroke killed more people than gun violence in the United States. That is real. The number of people that have died, and I think he's probably going to say this, the number of people who died in the EU due to heat stroke is higher than the entire year of gun violence in America.
Do you understand how insane that is? If there was any other event on the planet that killed 175,000 people, there would be memorials and statues commemorating what a tragedy this was. But because it's just you guys being like, well, the Americans invented a machine that can domesticate.
Actually, point of note. 175,000 people died due to heat stroke this year. How many people died during you-know-what back in 2020? Wasn't the total somewhere in the neighborhood of like 300,000? Am I correct in that number? It was like total, was it millions or was it like 300,000? Like the number is nebulous. The number is nebulous because of the way it was conflated. Let's go with EU. Let us go with EU for the number of deaths that were attributed to it in 2020. Actually, let's research it. Let us do some quick research. And by the way, Shiro, Nick Dave, thank you for the gifted. All right. How many deaths were attributed to in the EU in 2020? Let's see. And again, this number is nebulous because we know that they grotesquely conflated the numbers to try and prop up the myth. So we do have to keep that in mind. Let's see. Rocket, I keep forgetting to turn it off. Okay, hang on. Let's do a fast response. Do it fast. I keep forgetting to put it off expert. Oh, for fuck's sake. Hang on. Oh, there we go. Hey. Thinking. And hey. Come on, you can do it. This shouldn't take a while.
Annually, they have 170k to heat and over 300k to call in winter.
There you
so
go.
Every year, the EU losses around $500,000 to the weather.
There you go. That's fuck's sake. Keep me running slow today. All right, I'll just take that. I'll just take that. So yeah. So you're looking at like 500,000 just to weather in the EU every year. Like, literally, more people die. Like, close to the same amount of people die in the EU from weather. Combine heat and cold versus what happened in 2020.
This was, but because it's just you guys being like, well, the Americans invented a machine that can domesticate wind, but we don't want to admit they're right, so we would rather let all our young and elderly die of heat stroke than give them the W.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Okay, which leads right into the next argument, the most infuriating one, because I used to build shit for a living. Americans don't understand because our homes are actually built to retain heat, so an air conditioner wouldn't work as well for us. Motherfucker, that's just insulation. That's how insulation works, okay?
Oh my god, insulation does the same fucking thing for cold. Insulation does double duty. It retains heat and it retains cold too. That's literally the entire fucking purpose of it. And by the way, EU strays, you can confirm or deny this. Are homes in the EU built with good insulation? Are they? Because I am suspect from like what from things that from photographs I've seen of housing in the EU. I am suspicious of whether or not that statement is correct as to whether or not the homes in the EU are built with good insulation. If your building has that, most don't. See, that's what I was wondering. Do most buildings have insulation? Foam insulation is completely banned in the EU. They use brick. So yeah, that's what I thought. I thought they were more of a brick and plaster type construction. Yeah, that's what I thought. Most are not. There we go. There we fucking go.
Do you have a thermos? If you put hot tea or whatever stupid shit you guys drink in a thermos, you know how it stays hot? Now dump it out and put fucking ice water in it. The ice water stays cold, okay? Your house isn't specifically designed to be hot inside. It's designed to have a controlled temperature regardless of what's going on outside. So if you buy an air conditioner and you cool off the house, it stays fucking cool. Well, air conditioning's really expensive. No, it isn't. You can buy a window unit for $169 to cool off the room that you sleep in. Or your living room or whatever, okay? The average minimum wage of Europe is $8.33 American. That's 20 hours of the most unskilled labor that you have available in exchange for a magic box that domesticates the fucking wind so you don't have to sweat your balls off. Okay, that is a modern miracle, and you're saying that that's too expensive? I would pay an outrageous amount of money to see a British person go back in time and talk to one of their ancestors, some medieval peasant
Yeah, Kitsu looked that part up. A window unit in Europe is like 400 pounds. So did she look up strictly like well, okay. Something consideration about bearing in mind you have differentiating dollar values. That's something I talk about a lot. It's like, oh, it's a window unit in Europe is like 400 pounds. It's you have to look at number one, which country, because pounds would be Great Britain, not anywhere else in the EU. There's the carbon and energy laws. There's also limitations on production. I'm not sure if the EU has any kind of limitation in terms of production or sale or importing of air conditioning units. And of course, like the value of their currency is dependent upon country to country. The taxes, they're like the taxes, and nowadays the tariffs. Yeah, like there's a lot of factors that go into the cost of air conditioning units in the EU, because the reality is they probably don't manufacture them in the EU. Most air conditioning units, I would speculate, are manufactured somewhere in North America. Not necessarily the United States, but North America. So they have to import a lot of their device, a lot of their technology. And when they do that, you have a whole bunch of taxes, import fees, tariff fees, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Or in Asia, yes. And again, you still have the import taxes and fees. So that is that there are a multitude of considerations when it comes to any, like the cost of goods like that in the EUs, because they are importing a pretty sizable chunk of them.
See a British person go back in time and talk to one of their ancestors, some medieval peasant picking turnips outside of a castle, and explain to them that in the future there's a magical box that can make the house cold when it's hot outside, and in exchange for that all they had to do was work 20 hours and they could cool off their house for years upon years to come, and then explain to them with deadpan stare, but I don't do it because it's expensive.
Are you pulling my leg?
Motherfucker, it's literally magic to these people. You have the opportunity to buy climate-changing magic for 20 hours of your time, and you're just like, nah, I'd rather let grandma and grandpa die from heat stroke. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm slowly coming around to the idea that this is actually a conspiracy by the European governments to slowly kill off old people so they don't break their universal healthcare system.
He's got a point. He's like... It's a conspiracy theory, but it's pretty fucking scary that said conspiracy theory, when you think about what is happening right now, especially in the EU, it kind of makes fucking sense. Like, let all the old people off so they can use their empty homes to house illegal immigrants in them. That's another factor. Like, he's talking about, like, to basically say, to reduce the cost of the health care, but also to give like all of the illegal immigrants free housing as well. Like, it's a conspiracy theory, yes, but it's a conspiracy theory that actually kind of fucking works.
There's no other logical explanation for why you would be anti-air conditioning. And apparently one of the big talking points is, oh, well, air conditioning is actually bad for climate change, so it's only making the problem worse. And then the climate activists get on CNN or the BBC or whatever, and they're giving interviews offering alternatives to air conditioning that you could do. I'm gonna show you, because if I didn't show you the interview, you wouldn't believe me. Their solutions get progressively worse, but we're going to go ahead and start off with their best solution. Solution number one.
If it gets really hot, I sleep under a wet sheet. That's my other technique.
How about no?
With a big bucket of water under the desk with my feet in the bucket of water.
Option.
What the fuck? Who is this psychopath? Is this abs? Yeah, like, do you want trench foot? Because that is how you get fucking trench foot. Sleeping 8 hours with your feet in water, submerged in water. That is how you fuck up your feet. Are you fucking kidding me? And then you have a wet sheet on top of you. That's how you get fucking pneumonia, you troglodyte. Think about it. You're laying down. When you're sleeping, you're breathing more deeply than you do normally when you're awake. Sleep breaths are usually a deeper inhalation, a deeper intake of oxygen than when you're awake, typically speaking. You're sleeping with a wet sheet on top of you, so you are breathing in that moisture almost directly for 8 hours in addition to your feet being submerged in a bucket of water for 8 hours. That is how you get trench foot and your skin sloughs off your feet, and it's how you get fucking pneumonia.
Of water.
Option number 2, soak your feet in a bucket of water while you're sitting at home all day long. Also, no, B, I know your house fucking stinks. It smells like wet feet and BO because you're not wearing deodorant and you don't have air conditioning, and I know you're sitting in the house sweating your ass off 24/7. No, I'm not doing it. And option number 3, I can't believe this is real.
Including, would you believe it, painting windows with yogurt. Would you believe it, painting windows with yogurt.
What? What the
Fuck! What possible rationale could you have to painting your windows with yogurt? What retarded logic is this? Yeah, Nick is going to absolutely crash the fuck out. I just hope I really want to hear. Accurate. Incredibly accurate. Yep. I do hope we get an explanation for this, because I need to know. At this point, I literally need to know why you would do something this brain dead. And yes, Nick is about to justifiably crash the fuck out. Let's enjoy it.
I just, how are you this Your solution, rather than just admitting the Americans are onto something with this air conditioning shit, is to smear yogurt on your fucking windows. You want to make window cheese rather than just turn on an air conditioner. How do you not see how fucking insane that sounds? Like, what?
According to Google, smearing plain Greek yogurt on a window can cool a house by up to 6 degrees by forming a light-reflecting film that blocks solar radiation. You know what else can do that? Tinfoil. Blackout curtains. That can do it too. Paper can do it. You don't need to put fucking disgusting yogurt and and completely fuck up your windows with yogurt to do this. There are literally probably about a dozen alternatives that do not include smearing disgusting yogurt onto your windows and having it turn into this vile crust on your window panes.
Your biggest talking points is air conditioning is expensive. How expensive is it to smear a new layer of yogurt on all the windows on your house and then have your house smell like curdled milk and still be hot as shit? I can't even begin to fathom the amount of desperation and misery the person that figured this out was experiencing. Do you know how fucking hot and sweaty and delirious you have to be sitting at home in your living room on the couch for you to finally go, I gotta do something. I'm gonna try smearing yogurt on my windows.
I'm fine. I just threw up in my mouth a little bit.
Like, what are you doing? Just get an air conditioner, for the love of God. Oh my God. At this point, I'm convinced that air conditioning could prevent World War III if you guys would just do it. No wonder you guys are always starting world wars and dragging us into it. You're all fucking grumpy and hot 24/7. Get some AC and come up with a peace treaty. I don't ever want to hear a European talk shit about America being dumb ever again. They always love to bring up like, oh, America has a bunch of gun violence, blah, 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 blah. Cool. More people are dying because you refuse to use air conditioning than Americans Americans are dying from gun violence, all right? And by a lot, it's not even close. Europe is losing 175,000 people a year. To put that into perspective, America had roughly 60,000 people die in the Vietnam War. How do you not see how insane that is? Air conditioning at this point is like the cheapest, most cost-effective, life-saving technology on the planet, and you're just like, nah, I don't want it. And the most
I'll be
part about all this
fine.
is I know for a fact there's going to be a ton of keyboard warriors with a bunch of stupid talking points and smug comments in the comment sections, and this is going to get clipped and put on Twitter and Instagram and all these other places, and there's going to be all these comments, and you know what? None of those comments would be possible without air conditioning, because without air conditioning, the internet that you're using wouldn't function, and the phone you're holding in your hand wouldn't have been able to get manufactured. You are proving my point that air conditioning is the most important invention of the 21st century, and if you don't have some, you should get some, and that's all I gotta say about that. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch, maybe drink some Echelon. Links to both of those available over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang, out. Don't forget to go check out Supremacy World War III, unlock your railgun, and go conquer the British. It's what George Washington would have wanted.
Okay, that was as great as advertised. I love seeing Nick just lose his shit like that. Justifiably losing his shit, but it's still so fucking entertaining, and he's 100% right. EU! Governments of EU, stop being fucking stupid!